Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, 7 Ways to Recruit, Train, and Retain Top Talent for Your Dealership. I'm Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. And for anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our search engine optimization, best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning websites. DealerOn was named the top-rated website provider by Driving Sales in 2012, and DealerOn customers were winners of the Spring and Fall 2012 Digital Dealer Website Excellence Awards, including the highly coveted overall winner. DealerOn is so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that we're the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. That's right, I said a money-back lead guarantee program. So if your website company isn't guaranteeing you leads, well then maybe you should check us out at dealeron.com. And we have a great show in store for you today. We are very pleased to have Craig Lockard as our presenter today. Craig Lockard has been in the auto industry for over 39 years, holding literally every position in a dealership. He became a turnaround consultant in the late 80s and started AutoMax recruiting and training over 14 years ago to fill the overwhelming need for fresh blood in the auto industry. Craig has personally trained and developed thousands of salespeople and managers, while AutoMax Recruiting and Training has conducted over 11,000 recruiting campaigns and has recruited and placed over 100,000 people into the auto industry, from porters to presidents. When it comes to cutting-edge recruiting of top talent for the auto industry and how to develop and retain that talent, Craig and his team from AutoMax are the industry leaders. A highly sought-after speaker, Craig has spoken at numerous 20 groups, dealerships, and industry conferences. And currently, Craig is also co-author of the best-selling book, Unfair Advantage, and he can be reached at clockard@automaxrecruiting.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't you worry, we're going to respond by email later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of the webinar recording is also going to be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And hey, DealerOn's going to be at the upcoming NADA convention in Orlando. So if you're going to be there, then you got to come visit us at booth 3259. And let's talk about websites, SEO, digital marketing, conversion rates, or whatever. And I'm going to be there, and I would love to meet you. It's going to be February 8th through the 11th in Orlando. And hey, while you're there, check out the speaking sessions from Jeff Clark. He's the EVP of Biz Dev here at DealerOn. He's going to be talking about digital strategies to double your fixed operations profits. And if you've never had the pleasure of hearing Jeff speak, well, let me just tell you right now, he is a fantastic presenter. So you definitely want to check that out. And oh yeah, AutoMax Recruiting and Training is also going to be at the upcoming NADA convention too. They're going to be at booth 4488. Man, that's really easy to remember. Booth 4488. So don't be shy. Stop by and say hi and find out about their amazing recruiting and training services. And guess what? Our great friends at AutoMax Recruiting and Training are offering up some great stuff today for everyone on the webinar. That's right. Everyone's a winner today. So let me tell you about it. Every person on this live broadcast is going to receive a copy of the AutoMax copyrighted salesperson interview. Now, it's going to be in a PDF attachment in the email that's going to be coming from me this evening with the link to the recording from today's broadcast. So you got to be sure to check it out and look for that, all right? Now, everyone's also going to receive a 20% discount for any AutoMax recruiting and or training campaign. And for all you dealer principals and GMs on the webinar today, simply send Craig Lockard an email to clockard@automaxrecruiting.com, and you'll also receive a signed copy of the best-selling book, Unfair Advantage. So email him, if you can, right now or in a little bit, clockard@automaxrecruiting.com, and get your free book. Cool stuff, right? We want to thank AutoMax Recruiting for their generosity. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. And today we're going to randomly select some winners from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So let's get started. Let's learn the 7 ways to recruit, train, and retain top talent for your dealership. Craig Lockhart, how are you today?
I could hardly be better now speaking to you.
I like the way your attitude is today, and I am so pleased that you're here with us today. I want to be honest with everyone because I've been doing webinars a long, long time. This is the very first time I'm doing a webinar about how the right way is to hire people and train people and retain people. It's the very, very first time I've ever done a recruiting webinar, and I'm very, very excited about this.
Yeah, what's up with that? Why is this his first time? People are the most important
ingredient? I don't know. I guess we sometimes assume, maybe, possibly, that it's easy for dealerships to go out and find those great people that are going to work in their dealership. But I understand that maybe it's not so easy to do that. So I'm really excited because we always put out great information to help those people that work at those dealerships. But this is really important too, is to find the right person, because I think the right person at any company, at any organization is going to make a huge difference. So what are we going to be learning about today? Because this sounds really, really important.
Well, it is important, and thank you very much. I appreciate it. And some of the objectives that we have today is we're going to talk about recruiting, talk about training, and then the real coup de grace of the whole thing is retaining those people. That, turnover in the automobile industry is rampant, unfortunately. I can remember years ago walking into a dealership and a lot of no's. And when we first started out, the dealer was telling me, no, I don't need your help. I don't need your service. I said, well, what's your turnover like here at the dealer? Oh, it's non-existent. I said, really? He said, yeah, it's hardly anything at all. Maybe, I said, how many salespeople do you have on your floor right now? He said, 12. I said, well, how many did you go through over the last 12 months? Oh, I don't know. We might have lost 2 or 3 guys. I said, look, let's do this. And we were in Atlantic City, so it was appropriate. I said, I'll make you a bet that your turnover at the dealership was probably 100% last year, just on the showroom. He said, no, it's impossible. I said, yeah, I'd be willing to bet. You get your controller to bring out the W-2s for salespeople last year, and I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is and bet that you had 24 or more W-2s from your sales floor last year. He said, well, what do you get if you win? I said, if I win, you win as well, because we're going to do business together, and I'm going to take care of this for you. If I lose, I'll do it for free. He said, you're on. 20 minutes later, the controller comes out with 27 W-2s from the sales floor.
Oh, snap. Oh, my gosh. You didn't bet any money. You just bet services.
Correct. But it's odd because he really, honestly, he didn't realize. He really didn't realize, what happened to those people, where they went, and it's important. Every time you lose a person, a salesperson, a phone operator, it totally changes your business and the culture at your dealership, and consequently affects the clients that are walking in there, calling in, or trying to do business with your dealership. So the human capital of your dealership, in my opinion, really is the first thing that we need to look at in retaining those people. But you got to get them first, and that's what we're going to go over that today.
Oh, I just had a really quick question. Was that an owner or a GM?
That was the owner of the dealership.
That was the owner. All right. Well, and I'm sure every owner and GM out there knows that hiring the right person, that can make a huge difference. So,
Really?
All right. So, share your automotive brilliance with all of us. What are we learning first?
All right, the first thing, well, actually, I'd really like to pull the audience right from the get-go and get them engaged, Eliana, if we could.
Oh, that's a great idea. Sure, let's do that. All right, audience, we're starting early with the poll questions. Here we go. If you could all turn and look at your screen, this is a really interesting question. How do you decide when to recruit more people? And for this one, hit all of them that apply. Is it and correct me if I'm wrong, but you've heard this before. It's the number of desks you have open. Is that right?
Right.
Because I got 2 desks open, so I got to hire 2 people, right?
Correct.
And that's the way we've always done it. Is it evaluating market share? Is it based on crushing your competition? Maybe you feel like hiring more people will help you sell more cars. Yeah, sure. And 3 people didn't show up for work today. So have you used any of these, heard any of these, maybe experienced any of these yourself? Let us know. Oh, votes are coming in quick. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. We always love it. We're going to have a lot of poll questions today because we definitely want to get your feedback on what's happening at your dealership. Right, Craig?
That's right.
That's right. Okay, well, we already have a majority of the votes in, so thank you so much. And we're going to close this poll and share the results. Are you ready for this, Craig?
I am ready.
Okay, here we go. We're closing the poll and sharing the results. 58% of today's audience answered the number of desks they have open. 40, okay, I know, you're writing this down. 42% said it was based on crushing their competition. 33% of today's audience said that they would evaluate their market share. 33% of today's audience also said 3 people didn't show up for work today. And only 17% of people today said, well, that's the way we've always done it. Does that sound about right to you, Craig?
Yep. Unfortunately, yes, that does sound about right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to speak to a couple of those. You know, crushing your competition or dominating your marketplace is, in my opinion, very important. You know, we as dealers, you as dealers, as managers, HR, whoever's on the call here, you have the opportunity to really take advantage of the talent pool that's out there right now. It's spectacular. It's a very exciting time for my company, and it should be for you, in terms of the type of person that's available to employ at your dealership in any department. We do a lot of business in sales departments, probably 60% of our business or more. And the talent, we have 25 trainers that are on the road every week in dealerships across the country, and they just, they report back daily to the office on what's happening, and they just constantly remark at the quality, not only the quantity, but the quality of the talent that's available. So when you're looking to dominate your marketplace and really make inroads and really push the envelope, so to speak, on what's possible at your store in terms of sales and market share and so forth, there couldn't be a better time to do it, and that's available to all of you. You know, we make decisions on hire based on the number of open desks, and I'm going to speak to that here in a minute, based on the law of diminishing returns, and we do hear that a lot. You know, how many people do you need? 4. Well, how'd you arrive at the number 4? Well, that's how many open desks I have. Well, what if you only had 1? What if you had 20? What does that have to do with it? But what we're really talking about, we say desks, but it's available space in the dealership is really kind of what they're saying. And I think that's interesting, and it'll lead right into what I'm talking about, is the law of diminishing returns. Now, what I would really urge all of you that are on the phone right now is just Google law of diminishing returns. And it'll give you a full explanation of the law, and it is an economic law. But let me give you an illustration. And let me go through all these here with you real quick. Stage 1 in the law of diminishing return means the addition of salespeople mean more output. Stage 2 is when input equals output. Stage 3, additional salespeople decrease, the production decreases. And in our opinion, and what we've seen over the last 14 years and 11,000 of these things, is most dealerships don't have any idea where stage 3 is. Now, let me give you an example kind of to really explain this economic law. If you're at your dealership right now, or in your office, or you're gazing out onto the showroom or the room that you're in, just gaze that geographic area that you have to work with. And think for a minute, let's say that was a piece of land. And let's say on that piece of land, it was a barren piece of land, nothing but dirt, and you wanted to hire a kid to plant apple trees, saplings, let's say, in that piece of land. And he came in, and you gave him an 8-hour day to plant these saplings, and he had a locked-in, very definite area to be able to do this in. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind with your showroom or the room that you're sitting in right now, so you can maybe visualize this thing. And let's say during that 8-hour period of time, he was able to plant, I don't know, 6 trees, just as an example. And you say, okay, well, that's cool. And the next day, he brings a buddy of his by, and asked if you could hire him to plant trees too. And you say, yeah, sure, no problem. So you got the same geographic area, but now you have 2 people. Well, that second person is also going to plant 6 trees. So now for that next day, the second day, now you have 12 trees planted instead of 6. So, you know, your output is going to exceed your input. Next day, they bring another buddy of theirs in. Now they both planted 6 the first 2 days. Now they bring in a third. Now the 3 of them, it cuts down a little bit, but now they now plant 15 trees, or excuse me, 5 trees apiece for a total of 15. So their individual output went down a little bit, but as the owner of that land, your output exceeded the previous day's numbers. Now, this is stage 2. Now, stage 3 is the thing that car dealers worry about, and they talk about flooding their floor. And I'm not talking about flooding your floor here. What I'm talking about is taking an economic law and putting it into practice at your dealership. I've seen a zillion different formulas on when to hire salespeople, and they're mind-boggling, frankly, because it doesn't take into consideration basic economics. What I'd like to do when I run a store is I'm going to take my constants, the size of my showroom, the number of desks that I have, the number of hours that I'm open, the amount of traffic that I have based over a long period of time. I want to take a sampling of the last year, year and a half, 2 years. You know, you can drill that thing down pretty sharp, right down to the point of each day where your traffic is on a daily basis and what hours during the course of those days as well. You can drill all that down if you have an accurate count, but in your inventory and your advertising dollars. Those are should be basic relative constants in your dealership to work from, and that you should plan the number. Let's just talk about salespeople for a minute. The number of salespeople you have on the floor. So when you go to add salespeople, only 1 or 2 things are going to happen. Let me give you another example. Let's say you got 20 salespeople on your floor right now, and your objective is to sell 200 cars. And you get to that 200, and you say, okay, well, let's see. The hours are the same, the inventory is the same, the traffic's been the same, the incentives are basically the same. You know, the number of desks hasn't increased or decreased. I'm at 200 cars with 20 people. Now, if I want to get to 300 cars, that would only make sense if you just do the math. I need another 10 people. So you hire another 10 people. You haven't changed any of the constants. Everything's the same. The size of the showroom, advertising, inventory, incentives, hours of operation, everything's the same. All you did was add more salespeople, and 10, because you figure you can sell 300. What happens is you end up selling 190. Why is that? Because you found stage 3, and it's going to go backward on you. If we go back to the example of the boys planting seedlings, there's going to reach a point of diminishing returns where you put 5, 6, 7 kids in there planting those trees. They're going to bump into each other. They're going to end up planting no trees, or they're ultimately going to run out of space. The same thing holds true at the dealership. So what can we do about that, Craig? So I'm at stage 3. I have, quote unquote, flooded my floor. Morale of the salespeople has gone backwards, so my production's gone backwards. That's no good. I don't want to do that, nor do we. That's bad. So what of the constants can I change? Well, as an example, there's several that you can change to again establish that law of diminishing returns. Why don't we extend the hours of operation of the dealership, but cut the hours of the salespeople and the responsible hours that they're to be at the store? You know, nothing drives me crazier than to see salespeople working 60, 65, 70-hour weeks because you can get away with it. These people have no home lives. They have, you want to talk about morale issues, we see it every week. It's bad. So give them regular hours. Put shifts in. Extend the hours of your operation, so you're changing the constant. You're actually adding more land without paying for any more land just by extending your hours of operation. Along with that, and that allows you to bring on more salespeople, take care of more clients, ultimately sell more cars. Along with that, you've probably got a salesperson or two that's probably pretty talented on your showroom floor that might have, quote-unquote, manageritis. You know, they want to be a manager, but it's not happening at your store. They're not prepared to take over the desk job. They're not prepared for a GSM, F&I position, internet manager position, whatever. They're not ready for that. But they certainly could be a team captain. They could be responsible for one of those teams on one of those shifts, get paid specifically from that team and what they produce during the course of their shift. Consequently, keeping that top talent in your dealership and showing the other salespeople that there's room to grow inside your organization. They don't have to leave and go somewhere else to get a management position, was what they aspire to be, if that's what they aspire to be anyway. Okay, and you've done all that, and now you're still approaching stage 3, and your returns are going backwards a little bit. That's the time where you tune up your marketing. That's the time, excuse me, when you spend a little money to run some sales. That's the time when you increase your inventory. So all those things really can take place after you found that stage 3 of the law of diminishing returns in your salespeople. Guys, seriously, it takes a little more thought. You got to be on top of it, because you got to really watch the morale of your dealership and so forth. And when those returns start going back on you, that's when you reach stage 3, and that's when it's time to look at changing some of those constants. In other words, adding land to plant your saplings in without having to actually purchase any more land at the dealership. You can do it internally by extending the hours, cutting the salesman's hours. You don't have to, and at some point, you could go even longer and add another manager. It's all going to come down to when your output exceeds your input, and those returns start to decrease. That's when you know you got to make a change. So when you're looking at that going forward, forget about the salesman taking care of 2.5 clients a day, and he can take care of X amount a week, and your closing percentage is this. So I need 4.39 more salespeople on your floor. It's just it'll make your head explode, and that's the way people make mistakes when you're trying to fit. When you really, I need 4 and I got to have 4. Well, if you don't have 4 good ones to pick from, you're going to hurt yourself by picking those 4. There's maybe only 3 good ones to pick from. So you want to hire the right people, not just bodies, not just quantity. Make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Great. All right. Second thing is how are we going to recruit? How are we going to find these people? I think that's a real interesting concept is how we're going to do it. Everybody thinks, well, I'll throw an ad up on Craigslist and that'll be done with it, and they'll just magically come in there. It's not that easy. It doesn't work that way. Candidates, we see this a lot. Candidates call when they're transferred when they call the dealership to transfer, they go to manager's voicemail. Some of these calls might get returned, some of them might not. And it depends how busy the manager is. Some candidates walk in, but the manager's busy, so they're told to wait, and then the candidate leaves. When our trainers come aboard, they're given a specific process to use to talk to managers at the dealership when they originally arrive there, typically a Monday morning, to do a recruiting and training campaign. And they're told to go to the receptionist and ask for, Mr. Big or whoever that might be. And typically she'll say, well, that's great, I'll page him for you. Who should I ask is here to see him? And our trainers are instructed to say, no, that's all right, just point out his office, he's expecting me. And he is. Because if we just sit there and wait, we are going to be waiting and waiting and waiting. That manager's busy. They got, when I ran stores, Monday morning, Tuesday morning, or whatever, any morning was, chaotic at best. There was a lot going on in the dealership. So if somebody came in to see me, especially if they didn't have an appointment, they were told to wait. And that wait could go on and on and on and on forever. A lot of times candidates walk in and leave a resume. And they never get called back because the resume is buried under a stack of papers, and there's no procedure where the resume should be placed. And we're going to talk about all those things today. And I know it happens. We go into dealerships every single week and have been for 14 years. And one of the first things our trainers do is say, do you have any old resumes laying around? And man, if they reach in the drawer and they bring out this gigantic stack of resumes, and it happens all the time. And it's just, those are lost opportunities for sure. Oops. Am I okay there? What did I do?
You're okay, but your screen hasn't changed yet.
Why is my screen not changed?
I don't know. Did you try the keyboard?
Yeah, it's problematic. Oh, I have a technical glitch.
Already? So soon?
Is that possible?
I don't know. Why don't you try the bottom left corner of the screen and see if you can forward it that way. A little, yeah, there.
Huh. Okay, sorry about that, group. Equality of quality applicants. Let's talk about that. How to write effective help wanted ads. Where to post the help wanted ads for the maximum result. How does your dealership have a career tab? We're going to talk about job aggregators and what that means to you and how you can do a lot of this, if not all of it, yourself. And how to write an effective help wanted ad. Gone are the days of top comp plan in the area, top commissions paid, tons of traffic, hottest vehicles on the market. Doesn't work. And it really starts with a title. You put a title in there, automotive salesperson wanted, immediate need for automotive salesperson, ABC Motors, whatever the case might be. You're limiting yourself to a person that is searching online for that exact position. What we've found every single week, thousands of times a year, that the real all-stars, the real future Hall of Famers in this business are coming from other industries. To give you an example, our offices are outside of Atlantic City, so when we do a recruiting deal here locally for a dealership, we're going to go in the hospitality industry. I mean, there's a lot of casinos around here. We're also going to go in the construction sections of all the online websites, job boards. Construction business was hit brutally bad here. There's not a lot of construction going on, and a lot of these guys, men and women, are out of work. And they make darn good salesmen, we found. So we're going to use a little different job title. We're going to think Google when we're placing an online help wanted ad. We want to have a title that will get the most search. And you guys can write this stuff down. It's real simple. Sales representative or sales rep, the name of your dealership, and entry level in the job title will get you twice the amount of searches that you're getting now. Simple as that. You don't have to change anything else. Just change that job title, and it's going to increase your search. The body of the ad has got to change, and I'm going to go into that here in the next slide here in a minute, on the information that you put in there. And again, guys, there's really no reason to put top comp plan. They don't know what that is. Tons of inventory. Tons of traffic. They don't know what traffic is. They think traffic is a bunch of cars going down the street. They don't speak the same language that we do. So we can't expect them to understand what in the world we're talking about in the help wanted ad. It's got to be rich in description, should include a lot of keywords of types of people that you're going to be looking for. As an example, if we're running an ad here locally, people, those of you in the hospitality industry, a server at one of the casinos, restaurants, do great in the automobile industry, feel free to apply. And you put that kind of description in there, they'll get it. One of the strongest things that you can do in the description of your help wanted ad is to use a real case study, a person at your dealership that perhaps was a server, was a forklift operator, was a mortgage broker, was a real estate salesperson, whatever, prior to joining your team. And the success that he or she has had thus far coming from a different career into the automobile industry. Now there you can mention money. Nancy was in the hospitality business before joining ABC Motors. Nancy's been with us 7 months now, is tracking $85,000 year to date, and she couldn't be happier, blah, blah, blah. And that kind of thing then lets other people relate to the fact that, hey, they could be a Nancy, they could do this, she didn't have any previous experience, and it's a good way to draw that type of talent into your dealership. Where to post these ads for maximum result? Well, there's, and a lot of you have probably tried them all, probably tried Craigslist. One thing that Craigslist just went to here recently, it used to be free most across the country. In some metropolitan areas, it was $25 or even $75 in some areas, San Francisco and so forth. But just recently, there's a fee almost everywhere. Now, here's the other tricky thing to Craigslist, and some of you may or may not realize or understand. Not that I would do this, but I know enough about this, and I'm sure other dealers know as well, and I'm not giving you guys this information to do this to one of your competitors, but if you and I were both in the same town, and I needed salespeople and you needed salespeople, and you're running an ad on Craigslist and I was running an ad on Craigslist, I would go into Craigslist and I would flag your ad.
What?
Your ad then your ad becomes what's called ghosted. You would be able to see it. You would be able to see it. You wouldn't know this was going on, but other dealers, but no one else would see your ad. It would be up there. Everything would be fine, but it would be ghosted. Now, that's going on all over the country. So you might want to keep that in mind when you're doing Craigslist. You might want to have several different Craigslist accounts, so it's a little harder to do. Career Builder, obviously, a great way to look for people. Monster, all the different various job sites, and we're on about 200 of them. But one thing that you guys can do on your own that's very effective, and you have the ability, you have it right there, and Eliana, I'm sure the folks from Dealer can help you with this, is a career tab right on the home page of your website. That can act as your own job board. Now, I see career tabs on websites at dealerships, but basically, I've checked in on a lot of them from time to time, and it's like it's an old ad, an old position that's already been filled and so forth, and there's no real call to action other than calling the dealership or maybe emailing your resume somewhere. But when you can actually have your own job board on your career tab on your website, and with an RSS feed from your job board and your career tab on your website, that job can then be aggregated or pulled or spidered, depending on how you want to look at it, to a lot of different job boards. Indeed.com is actually the largest job board in the world. It far exceeds Career Builder, Monster times 2. Career Builder, Monster, all these other job boards actually pay Indeed to post their ads. So what Indeed does is they'll go in, you contact Indeed, and all of this you can do yourself. It's relatively easy and it's very cost effective. And it's kind of like Google AdWords. You come up with a budget. Say you're looking for salespeople, you're looking for a phone operator, you're looking for text, whatever you're looking for. You contact, excuse me, Indeed, Simply Hired, Tweet My Jobs, any of them. We use all three. Indeed's by far the largest, but you contact Indeed. You put together what you feel is a budget that you want to spend to hire this person or persons, and then a per-click budget as well. To give you an example, most of our campaigns were around 75, 80 cents per click. Then you'll get a daily or a real-time report from Indeed showing the number of impressions, number of clicks, your daily budget, what your daily spend has been, and how many conversions that you're getting, in other words, applications from that ad. When you've got what you want, you stop the campaign, you only pay for what you've spent. You can cap it, you can stop, you can start it over again, whatever you have total flexibility. These other job boards, you don't have that flexibility. You pay a fee, period, end of story, and it is what it is. You either get people or you don't, but you still pay the fee. With these job aggregators, you pay what you use, just like Google AdWords would be. So, and then I want to jump over online vet jobs for a minute and go to that bottom line, scheduling interviews with an applicant tracking system. What happens then from there? And this is, and again, it's relatively inexpensive and it's well worth the money. You know, if you remember back, I talked about resumes land on somebody's desk or in somebody's desk drawer. And that happens, and it's true, and it's unavoidable, and it's non-compliant, for one thing. You can get in trouble with that. But you're going to lose track of stuff. You got to look at your job applicant, in our opinion, more like an internet lead. When that internet lead comes into your dealership, you've got to get back to that person. You've got to get back to them quickly, and you've got to get back to them in a different manner. Autoresponder, probably not. Something more personal, going to lead, more likely to lead to a sale. The same thing with talent approaching you and seeking a position at your dealership. It's the same thing. It's even more important, I think, because those are the people that are going to end up bringing your clients. So we want to get back to those people quickly. You're not the only game in town. They're searching for a career. They're searching for a job. They're going to go back to the person that shows the most interest, the quickest, and that is the most personal to them. You can do that with an applicant tracking system. It's almost fully automated. It's a database where these applications will come into you through Indeed, through Simply Hired, right into your applicant tracking system. Then you set up a series of letters that go out to these applicants. Hey, we received your application resume, appreciate it very much, like to schedule an interview for such and such a day at such and such a time. What would be convenient for you? Real pleasure and looking forward to speaking to you. Things to that effect. You can also put any number of screeners in your applicant tracking system too to boot out some people that you wouldn't necessarily want to talk to or go through that brain damage with. So then you have that data. That data is yours. To give you an idea, we have the applicant tracking system we use called Sendouts. It's a $100 licensing fee that you pay. Over the years, we've used Sendouts for 8 years, I think 8 years. In our database, we have 430,000 former applicants. So what we do, and the reason I'm saying this, what we do is when we go into an area of the country to assist a dealer in their recruiting efforts, the first thing we look at is our former applicants in that area through our database, and then we put out an email to those people of the opportunity at ABC Motors in Joplin, Missouri, wherever it might be. I would suggest that you as a dealer do the same thing. You hold on to that database, and when you're looking for another person, they've already shown interest in your dealership. So why not send an email to them, say, hey, we couldn't get together last time when you were seeking employment, we have another opportunity available. I'd like to see if you'd be interested in taking a look at that. So it gives you an opportunity to keep that database together, but it's imperative that you get back to that person, you get back to them personally, with an individual email message to them. You can send video, you can do all types of things. So it's super important. The last thing I want to talk about before we move forward is online vet jobs. This might sound like a bit of a pitch, but it's not, because we don't make a penny on it, not one dime. But a year and a half ago, we created a site. If you Google this right now or later if you like, onlinevetjobs.com. It's a site for car dealers or for anybody, and we have all types of people on there posting their jobs, to hire veterans. We think it's a great cause. It's very well needed. The unemployment figures, although they're coming down on veterans returning from Afghanistan and so forth, it's still too darn high. These people have put themselves in harm's way for us, and I think it's only right to give them an opportunity to work in dealerships. And when you think of veterans working at your dealership, man, I'm telling you what, I'm not sure you can find a better employee. These men and women have been trained how to not only follow, but to lead, and to lead by following. And they are true servant leaders. And I think they make great hires, really in any position in your dealership. And above all else, you get a tax credit from the government too. And that online vet jobs will give you all that information right down to how to get that tax credit. But also, you can, for free, there's zero charge, for free. You're looking for anybody in your dealership, I don't care what the position is, feel free to go to Online Vet Jobs, go ahead and post a job, take it 3 minutes. Then we and you can both, and you don't have to do it, we'll do it for you. We socially share that job to Google+, we tweet it, excuse me, Facebook, LinkedIn. So, and that's a free service. So I want to make that available to everybody on the call, but it's a cool way to help veterans and a cool way to staff your dealership. And one last time, it's free. I want to go over something, a survey that was taken in the 50s, actually. It says what hasn't changed in 50 years is actually what has not changed in 60 years. And this is a survey that was taken. Now, recently, GHR Training Solutions, Blanchard Training and Development, a big company, did a similar survey. Excuse me, similar survey with similar results. And Achievers International, again, basically the same survey with same results. And what this shows is what we as employers think or feel that job seekers, job applicants want when they're looking at a career or working for you at your dealership. We think that wages are number one in their mind.
We, when you say we, you're not saying Automax. You're saying
correct.
We as
the
in dealerships, dealer owners, GMs, people who do the hiring. Go ahead.
Right, and I thought the same thing. I mean, when I was coming up through the ranks, it was like, man, anytime I was looking for people, all I've talked about was money. Man, you can make a boatload of money here, right? When I was bringing on a manager, it was money. You make a boatload of money. Well, what I found out over the last 14 years with Automax specifically is the trainers that we employ. That's not what trips their trigger. And it started me thinking, and that's what led me to these surveys and really looking into these things, is that maybe wages isn't the number one thing. It's important, there's no question about it, but this is the way that employers sometimes, based on all these surveys, and there's tons of them, you can check all this out online, just Google it, on what they feel job seekers are looking for. Number 4, good working conditions. 5, interesting work, personal loyalty to others, tactful discipline, full appreciation for work being done, sympathetic help with personal problems and feeling in on things. When in fact...
What? Don't say it.
Oh. That means it's time for our poll question.
That's right, it is, Craig. Thank you so much. So we want to know from you, our dear attendees, what do you think is the number one thing employees actually want? You get one answer, one chance only to get this right. Give it your best shot. Do you think it really is money? Is it money? I mean, in this economy, who wouldn't put money at the top of their list, right? Is it job security? Is it recognition for a job well done? Or maybe it's good working conditions? Or, hey, I like D, the cool boss. So I want to know, well, we all want to know, what do you think the number one thing employees actually want? So when we get a majority of the votes, we'll close the poll and we'll share the results. We don't have a majority of the votes yet. Come on, nudge somebody, get them to vote. But okay, I'm a little surprised not one person has picked a cool boss. That was totally something I was looking for when I was
That was what you picked. That was your number one.
That was my number one, because I've had the opposite. So, okay, well, thank you for all the votes. We do have a majority of the votes in now. Thank you so much. We do appreciate your input. Are you ready for this, Craig?
I'm ready.
We're closing the poll. We're sharing the results. So the winner is recognition. 46% of today's audience think it's recognition for a job well done. We have an even split of 23% for job security and good working conditions, and only 8% picked up on your vocal cues and figured out that it probably maybe wasn't money as number one. And no one picked a cool boss. I guess I'm the only one.
You're the only one. Is your boss listening? That's why you say that. He's probably
I have no idea if he's listening, but I do have a really cool boss. Okay, so 46% said recognition, 23 said security, 23 said good working conditions. What's the right answer?
Ding, the number one answer, full appreciation for work done.
Ah.
So, you know, and I'm so happy that the audience said that. Recognition is so important. You know, it can, man. It's just, I see it in my business every day. And sometimes it's hard as a manager, an owner, as an employer, to take the time needed to just reach out to somebody and say, you know, man, Eliana, I really appreciate you and the work that you've done today and what you did on that project. You just rocked it, and I couldn't be more appreciative and more grateful to have you working for us here. Now, what that's going to do is going to make me a cool boss to you. But, right? So when you appreciate the people around you that you surrounded yourself with and do it in front of somebody else is going to try to emulate that same behavior. So it's really important. Feeling in on things, these top three are really what's called soft skills. And it's got to be something in the ad. Now, you might not want to put full appreciation for work done, but you know, we recognize a good job here at ABC Motors. And we appreciate people that, you know, are on our team. You know, we're at ABC Motors, we want you to be involved in the culture of our dealership and our ultimate successes. And we're the kind of dealership that really cares about you, your family, and what's going on in your life over and above business. You're going to be secure in your growth here at ABC Motors, and you're going to make a bunch of money just like Nancy has, who was a forklift operator in her previous life. And so on and so forth, and go down that list, putting in your own words as a description of your help wanted ad. That's what's really going to, when people are going through these myriad of ads, and folks, whoever told you on these job boards that they're just looking at the front page is trying to sell you something. They're going 3-4 pages deep on these job boards or further. We have documented proof of that. So there's a lot of these people, not all, some just point and click, but a lot of these people are literally reading your ads. So you can't just put anything in there and figure it's going to work because you know, ABC Motors is so cool. You got to bring them in there, and they're going to read this, and it's going to trip their trigger, and it's going to help them come in. I want to talk about the interview process next. You know, have you ever asked some of these questions? Oh, what makes you think you can sell cars? Oh, well, you know, I like cars and I like people. Great. Well, go work at a gas station. No. Why'd you leave your last job? Well, I didn't like the manager, and they took away my draw, my day off, and my demo, so I thought I'd leave. Or how about this one? So can you handle 60-hour work weeks? I mean, now we want to tell them that, you know, this is a full-time position. First of all, if you have 60-hour work weeks, you probably ought to look at that, because that's not good. That's not healthy, and you're going to burn through people. But to ask that question during an job interview is going to really turn people off, I think, because you're then at that point owning their life. We have found at dealerships that work shifts and have a culture that's a little bit different than the norm, that those people, no one works their shift. Everyone works more hours because they want to be there, not because they have to be there. They understand when the busy periods are. They understand their time to deliver cars is off their shift, and it's just the environment's completely different. Here's one for you, Eliana, and I've heard this at dealerships. I'm not making this up. The manager's interviewing a woman. So, how do you feel about working with a bunch of guys hitting on you every day? You know, Eliana, what? I mean, I've heard it. We've heard it asked. That's not. We're not making this up. You know, how would you react to a question like that? If you're interviewing for a professional position at a car dealership and an interviewer asks you that question, what would you say to him?
I have no idea.
I mean, it's been asked. It's crazy. You know, I've asked women this question before. I said, well, I'd get up and leave. I said, well, yeah, I certainly hope so. So, you know, it's just that's not the right thing to ask. And they probably don't mean any malice, but they, you know, men sometimes in a male-dominated culture like inside of an automobile dealership are sometimes worried about a female coming into the dealership, into that culture, that she might have to, you know, get into the old boys club, and how's she going to handle that, you know, with that kind of situation going on there? Well, again, I say if you have that kind of culture at your dealership, you need to take a look at that, first of all. But secondly, never ask the question. It's ridiculous. And then the good old sell me this pen thing during an interview. I don't know. We're not looking for pen salesmen. We're looking for car salesmen, so I'm not sure how that works. We really need to rethink the whole interview process, and like Eliana said, everyone on the webinar is going to get a copy of our of our interview. It's very different. It's very outside of the box. It's psychologically based in nature, and it really gets the person to think and think quickly. The one thing I'd like to say, whether you use our interview or not, please do this. Please have an interview where you're asking a lot of questions. If you're sitting there listening to that person tell their life history and their life story, you're going to end up getting sold on that person. If that person's a good sales, well, Craig, I'm looking for good salespeople. Yeah, well, the person that's going to show up at your dealership is going to be their twin brother, not the person that you've interviewed. It's going to be an entirely different person that ends up showing up at your dealership to go to work. So I would rather be in more control of that environment, and that situation, that interview. And the person typically that's in control of an environment is the person that's asking the question. So I want to have a lot of questions that I'm going to ask the job applicant. I'm going to ask each applicant the exact same questions. It's going to be a scripted interview. I like it to be psychological based interview. I love word association to see what comes into the person's mind right away with one-word answers. And then throw them some twists and turns along the way. Again, you'll see that in our interview that you're all going to receive. But I would suggest that you try it. Try it more than once. Get familiar with it. Get it memorized would even be better. And use it. And use it consistently with every single person that you're interviewing. You're going to make less mistakes. You're going to get a better feel, excuse me, for that potential client. Screening, super important. There's a bunch of screening tools out there. Wonderlic, Disc is really cool. We have used them all with either candidates at dealerships or internally. The one that I really like, it came up, it's been around for a while, but I became familiar with it a couple of years ago, and a lot of you on the call are probably familiar with it. It's called the Car Sales Simulator. A good friend of mine by the name of Steve Money owns that company. It's called Hire the Winners. People say, well, Craig, isn't he a competitor? And not really. They don't do full-fledged recruiting and training, but they have, this screening tool is outstanding. It's a virtual car sale, 3 virtual car sales that the applicant take online. So, and then it prints you out how they did, and it'll come back with a not recommend, recommend with reservations, or fully recommend. The recommend with reservations or fully recommend have a 61% retention report or history that they're going to stay at the dealership a period of time of 2 years or more. Now, I don't know anything else that can say that, especially in our business. So I would definitely take a look at that. If you want more information on that, you can buzz me on that, because we're affiliated with Steve and with the simulator. But it's really something you should look into when you're screening anybody at your dealership that talks to a client. This is not just for salespeople. It could be for the phone receptionist, certainly all your VDC, internet people, parts counter, service advisors, anybody that's coming in contact, managers for sure, anybody that's coming in contact with clients. It's a must. But you got to screen them. You got to screen them. Now, whether you screen them at the beginning of the hiring process or the end matters little to me, just as long as before you hand them a paycheck, they're screened. How do we keep a team motivated, Eliana? How do we keep a team motivated?
I have no idea. I was hoping you were going to tell me.
Okay, I am going to tell you. Motivation is a tricky deal. It's a slippery slope. I want to talk about this using examples. You know, we can read down the points here, and it's a why is a must rather than a should. Take the time to find out the why to each of your employees. Encourage salespeople to express what they want. Write it down. Obtain a feeling. Write it down. Keep a copy and keep a copy to the salesperson. Let me take you through an example of this. Let's say, for an example, at the dealership you're having a hard time with salespeople with their demo percentage. You have, you know, if we at the dealership are trying to get an 80 or 90% as a goal, 80 or 90% demo percentage, the number of people that we've talked to demonstrate our product, and we're at 50 or 60%, we got a problem. So we try a myriad of different ways to motivate them, quote unquote, motivate them to achieve that 80 to 90% demo percentage. And we can do that through several different ways. Eliana, could we poll the audience at this point on what maybe some different ways that they try to motivate their people?
I think that's a great idea. Let's do that now. Audience, we want to know. I need you to look at your computer screen, get in front of your keyboard, and answer this question. What tactics have you used to motivate your sales staff? So select all that apply. Have you tried spiffs? Or maybe you've tried contests for bragging rights, or maybe a trip or something. Or maybe have you gotten them better training, and then that helps them understand why they need to be more motivated. Have you threatened somebody that they're going to lose their job if they don't get more motivated? Or have you just tried the good old pleading and begging? Please, please sell more stuff. So what is it that you've tried? Not to say that it worked or it didn't work, just that you've tried it, okay? And you know what? A lot of people got in on this one early, Craig. Almost everyone's voted at this point. So I'm gonna thank you so much for your votes. Very important. It's going to be a good one. Thank you so much. We're going to close the poll and share the results. Are you ready for this, Craig?
I'm ready.
Okay, 73% of today's audience said that they used spiffs.
Yep.
So that's not surprising. 67% of today's audience said it was training that did the trick for them. 53% have tried contests. A third of today's audience, 33%, said they have threatened to fire somebody. And 20%, you're my people, pleading and begging, that's what I do. 20% said pleading and begging.
Right. Well, those are funny. The polls are cute, and I think they're pretty interesting. And I mean, we're one big fraternity here. We've all, I've been there, so I've done all these things, just like you guys have. Tried them all: begging and pleading, spiffs, contests, more training so they know the product better to be able to do certain things. In my opinion, and some of this stuff works, and it works based on basically the personality of the person that you're dealing with. We go back to that, what hasn't changed in 50 years and those good wages is not number one. It's the same thing, that's not true for everyone. Spiffs will work. Let's go back to the example, demos, okay? Hey guys, our demo percentage sucks. We need to get it up there, so for the next week, it's $25, cash and fist or spiff or what have you, for every person you take on a demo drive, or whatever the case might be. All right, well, that's going to motivate some people that are money motivated. It's not going to motivate the vast majority of your people. Consequently, it's not going to move your percentage of demo drives accordingly or to where you need it to be as an organization, just using demo drives as an example. It's part of it, but it's what happens to that spiff money? Once you've been paid, okay, so, all right, I demoed 90% of my people, I made $200 in spiffs. Well, where's that money? Well, if you're anything like me, and Eliana's went out, she bought a purse with that $200, so, or a pair of shoes. So, and mine's gone. I bought some baseball cards or whatever. So, I mean, it's gone. I mean, that money's gone. It's been spent. So let's say we try contests. Okay, well, not everybody's big on contests. Let's try more training. Okay, I'm going to train on demo, on how to properly demo. I'm going to threaten with a job. And I think some of the people on the poll question said that. I've done that. Hey, man, dude, your demo percentage sucks. And if you don't, we've tried everything. I've tried spiffing you. I've tried training you. I've tried begging. I've tried pleading. I'm telling you right now, you don't get your percentage up, go get a box out of the parts department, and I'll see you later. Or, Eliana, here's a good question to ask if you're going to go let somebody go because of the demo percentage. You ask them, hey, Eliana, let me ask you something. How much money do you spend in gas getting back and forth to work every day? What would you say? How much?
Every day? I don't know. Yeah. It's got to be a couple gallons, so like $8 to $10 a day. $8 to $10.
You work 5 days a week, so $50 a week.
Yeah, it's expensive.
$200 a month.
Yeah.
$200 a month. Yeah, I found a way to save you $200 a month. Beat it. You're through.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
So I mean, so you threaten them with your job. None of that stuff's going to work. Try this. Try to find out what their why is. Now, they can say, well, it's money. I want to make more money. Yeah, but what are you going to spend that money on? Let's drill deeper. Well, I want to put a new roof on my house. I want to buy my wife a second car. I want to put money away for my 509 for my grandchildren or college fund for my kids. Let's find out what that money's actually for. What are they going to use it towards? And now that becomes their why. Now we got to take that why and figure out why that why is a must rather than a should. If you're anything like me, you know, there's a lot of things in your life that you walk around and say, I should do this, I should do that, I should do this, and I should do that. And sooner or later, pretty soon we find ourselves buried under a big pile of should. You know, we're just, you know, we're shoulding all over ourselves. And I did say should.
I'm sorry, I wanted to laugh, but I was afraid to laugh.
Right. So, you know, we got to make these things a must. And we got to take the time to find out why that why is a must to that employee. Encourage that salesperson or that employee to write that down. Now, the next one's kind of really makes it all happen. Obtain a feeling. What do you mean, Craig? Obtain a feeling. Well, Blanchard said in his book, 1 Minute Salesperson, people don't buy our products, services, or ideas. They buy how they imagine using them will make them feel. Let me repeat that. People don't buy our products, services, or ideas. They buy how they imagine using the product, service, or idea, how using it will make them feel. What we really buy in life, whether they be ideas, a product, or a service, is how that product, service, or idea is going to make us feel about things. We're motivated as human beings by two simple, basic things. Avoid pain, seek pleasure. Those are feelings. So that's what trips everybody's trigger. That's what motivates all of us to do everything that we do in every moment of our life, how we think, how we act, how we relate to other people, how we talk, how we move, everything. So I want to find out what feeling my employee is going to get by achieving that new roof on their house. Well, gee, boss, it'll make me feel good, you know, and it'll make me feel dry. You know, our house has been soaked, man, and it's damp in the house, and it would make me feel, you know, good, like because I took care of my family. Have them write that down. Now, that's a feeling that he or she is going to chase. It now takes that from a should to a must, and that is their true why. Have them write it down. You write it down. Give a copy of that goal, if you would, or their why. Give them a copy. You keep a copy in the desk at the tower, at the desk, at the sales desk. Then when he or she comes and you say, hey, did you drive him in a car? No, why? Well, you know, I couldn't, you know, he rented one, he's had 9 of them, his next door neighbor has one, he just wants a price. All the myriad of excuses that come up, all you got to do after 3 or 4 times of doing this, all you got to do is reach for that drawer to pull out that copy that you have in your drawer of that particular salesperson's why. And that's going to trigger his mind back to that feeling that he's going to get by putting that new roof on the house, which is his real why, and why that must is a must, not a should. And that's going to go very far to raising that demo percentage or to achieve the behavior that you want your employees to achieve. Make sense?
Definitely. Yes, absolutely.
Let's rethink our training frequency. Eliana, let me ask you this. How often should daily training take place?
Is that a trick question?
Yeah. I was going to see if I could get you in a blonde moment there, but I guess not.
I'm going to go with every day.
Yeah, there we go. Training must happen daily. So we call dealerships. So, listen, our trainer's going to be there Monday morning. Is that going to interfere with your training meeting? What? No. We have training once a week on Saturdays. We have bagels and lox and cream cheese and coffee. Man, you got to have training every day. Something different happens every day at an automobile dealership. I've been in this nearly 40 years, and it's been my experience that what happened yesterday is probably going to repeat itself sometime in the future. So I want to go over what happened yesterday, today, so I'm prepared going forward to handle it and take full advantage of that opportunity next time it takes place. Craig, I can't train daily. There's not enough subject matter. I got enough going on in my life. I can't come up with spectacular training meetings every morning. I get it. I totally understand. I can relate 100%. I hold a national conference call with our trainers once a week. There's, I don't know, 30, with the staff and everything, there's 30, 35 people on this conference call every single Tuesday morning. And for about 13 years, I spent Monday night and Tuesday morning freaking out about how I was going to be brilliant for Tuesday morning. And then my general manager, who's been with me 14 years, suggested that I practice what I preach and I have the trainers handle the meeting and we just facilitate it. Because the trainers are the ones that are actually out there doing the work and they can help each other. It would engage the rest of the trainers and we would get more accomplished and raise the level of our trainers and our business solutions consequently. So what's this mean to you? Have the salespeople hold your sales meetings. What? Craig, no. They're all crazy. They don't know. They need, oh, well, just slow down. Think of it this way. If you can visualize this, you walk into your training class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning. You got everybody there. You walk in there and say, look, who has a situation yesterday that confounded them, that they didn't close, or they did close, and it's a situation that would be similar to the rest of us have. Does anybody have a situation here, in any of you salespeople have that situation? Something that happened yesterday that you had a hard time dealing with. Switching a customer's trade, bad credit, wife's not here, all decision makers not present, looking for a blue car, whatever the case might be, all the myriad of different objections that come up. Who had something yesterday? Hey, boss, I had one. Yeah, what was that? Well, the guy was here on his lunch hour. He needed his wife. Great. Anybody else in the room have that same problem? Bang. 13 hands go up. Yeah, I got that same problem. Great. How did you handle it? And how did you handle it? How would you suggest it be handled? And you have a whiteboard there or some sort of or flip chart or whatever, and you write down everybody's answer on how they would handle that objection. Now, I'm going to tell you what, unless you had a real bad sales force, I mean really, really bad, which then you should take a look at everything we said previously here. Out of those 14 people, if you asked them how they would handle a missing party situation at their dealership, you're going to come up with things that work. Now, you didn't come up with a solution. You just facilitated the whole environment. Who are they most likely to listen to? You or their contemporaries? You or their buddies? You or the rest of the salespeople? They think you're full of baloney and you don't have anything, you don't know what the heck you're talking about. The minute you became a manager, you totally forgot how to sell. So that's what most of them think. It's not true in most cases, but that's what they're thinking. They are jazzed about being engaged. You don't have them sitting in their sleep and gazing out the window or rolling their eyes. They are now fully engaged because they want to say something smart. They want to be part of it. Remember that being in on things deal? This is them being in on things at the dealership. And you're going to have real solutions to a problem that everybody has. It totally changes everything. Now, what do you have to do now to come up with training content? Nothing. Just show up and ask the question. Who's got something from yesterday? Ooh, I do. Great. And let's discuss that. That should really take the onus off of daily training because it's in my opinion, the reason that the vast majority of dealerships across the country don't train daily, or if you have teams twice a day or 3 times a day for every team, is because A, the meetings are boring. They turn into Glengarry, Glen Ross meetings, coffees for closers. My watch costs more than your car, and all that stuff.
Great movie.
Right? Or we as managers, because it's happened to me. I know it, and it's okay. I understand. We just run out of good information to give them. Now, can you have one of those meetings every once in a while? Absolutely. Where you come up with the information. But, let your salespeople handle that. Speaking of training, just a quick story. Excuse me. After typical training, we have 5-car Fred. We hire people, good people. We've gone through all the processes, put them through everything. We hire a person or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Now, we're busy. You know, we're the cash register of the dealership. We're desking deals, TOing deals, making stuff happen, running our business, doing what we have to do to earn gross dollars and turn volume. So we don't have time. So we take a salesperson on the floor, typically, this is general terms, this is not 100% of the time, but typically the person that we'll pick to have our new people shadow or follow or to, you know, show them the ropes is typically the same person that goes out for cheesesteaks and coffee for us, and it's the same person that knows the inventory or the product really well and knows all the specs and is kind of a house mouse. Now that guy generally, so we call him 5-car Fred. You can call him anything you want. 6-car Sam, 5-car Fred. The reason we pick that person is they got a lot of time on their hands. Why do we pick 5-car Fred? Because he's only selling 5 cars a month, so he's got time to train these new recruits. The reason we don't have the guy selling 20 cars a month training them is because he's too darn busy to train them. His job is to sell cars. Well, if you got 5-car Fred training your new recruits, you're going to train it. He's going to train them into typically a lot of 4-car Freds. It's going to be tough, and you know, one out of a group typically will end up selling a bunch of cars, but the rest of them are going to be gone. They're going to be one of those burnout W-2s that you had on your showroom floor. So we want to invest in training, whether it be in-house or outside resources, online, whatever the case. But gosh, guys, you got to train these people. We can't just go through all the aches and pains to recruit them, interview them, all that process, and get them to the point where you've hired them, and just slap them out on the showroom floor. You know, again, I've been in the car business 40 years, and a lot of things have changed over the period of 40 years. But even back then, I didn't get any formal training. It was pretty much, you know, Craig, there's the keys, cars, and jumper cables. Go get them, sport. You're a car salesman. And a lot of pain and agony involved in learning that way, and it took me a while. I hear other stories where guys got good, strong, initial and ongoing training, and it paid huge dividends for both them and the dealership later on. So, you know, guys, to end this up, and then we're going to do one more poll question and line this thing up, and sorry for going so long, but I appreciate all your time and attention, and hopefully you've gotten some good information on this. You know, I asked the question, when you hired him, did you hire him dead, or did we kill him after we got him? It's as simple as that. So I think we got one last poll question, don't we, Darlene?
Oh, yes, we do, and it's a good one. It's a good one. Okay, everyone, one last poll question for you. Let's get involved. So please turn to your screen, get to your computers, and your keyboards, and check this question out. And please just select one of the following answers. So have you ever used a third-party recruiting firm before? Now I want you to be honest. Okay, honesty is good here. So you can answer yes, I highly recommend using a third-party recruiting firm. Yes, I use one of your competitors. Yes, but we, I know, Dagger, I know. Yes, but we didn't like the results. That's okay too. Yep. Maybe it was no, I've never used a third-party recruiting firm, but I was thinking about it. Or maybe it's no, I've never used a third-party recruiting firm. So I think this is a really interesting question, because I think maybe it's one of those things where you think you can do it yourself. And most people do it themselves. Like, I'm just going to give a for instance. I do not do my own nails. I could do my own nails, but I'd rather go get a mani and a pedi over at the salon. But that's just me. I have a girlfriend who does her own nails. They look equally as beautiful too. So we want to know what you think. Once we get a majority of the votes, we're going to close the poll and share the results.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. What you just said is very true. And indeed, nothing I've gone over today is impossible for any dealer to do on their own. They can do it on their own.
Yes.
There's no question about it. And you know, hopefully, maybe some of the things I said would enable them to do so. And you're going to save some money doing it that way. And you know, you're really on top of things. It would make some sense. You know, if you did your own nails, it would save you money. Yes or no?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But would it save me time? I'm not so sure.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right.
You know, I always hear about how people at the dealerships have no time. You know, they just don't have the bandwidth to do anything else. And I know, I mean, how many people you got to talk to when you are hiring for a new employee? It's, you know, it's It's a big time crunch. So you know what? We do have a lot of people on the line who've already voted. Thank you so much for your votes. It's going to be really interesting. Check this out, everyone. We're going to close the poll and share the results. 69% of today's audience said no. They have never used a third-party recruiting firm before. Very interesting. Thank you for that. 15% of today's audience said yes, and I highly recommend them. We got 8% saying I use one of your competitors, and another 8% that said yes, but we didn't like the results.
Interesting.
Very
That's
interesting.
really interesting. Yeah, it is. It really is. Well, for those of you that hadn't, we're available. But, and for those of you using a competitor, we have real good competitors, most of which have worked for us at one point or another. So I trained them, so I'm sure they're all good people. Who would you rather use, the professor or the student? But no. And for those of you that have had problems, and I don't know how we can do this, but I'd be really interested to see what some of the issues were, because there are, like anything, it's not a perfect, in 11,000 recruiting campaigns, I will not try to tell you that every one has gone 100% smooth. There's always glitches in anything when you do that kind of volume, but that would be interesting as well. So thank you for that information. Very cool. All right, what's next?
I don't know. You tell me. Oh, okay. Are you doing an alert sound? Is that what that is?
That was an alert sound, yeah. Sorry.
I'm not hiring you for that. Okay. I wanted everyone to know. Now, you may have heard me at the very, very beginning of the webinar today, but if you came in a little late, I want to let you all know our great friends at Automax Recruiting and Training are giving away great stuff for everyone today on the webinar. Oh, yeah. Our first webinar, everyone's a winner. So every person on this live broadcast is going to receive a copy of the Automax copyrighted salesperson interview. And by the way, I did look at it. Of course I looked at it. I'm not crazy. I wanted to see what was on there. It is really long, very detailed. You guys are going to love this. Now, it's going to come to you in a PDF attachment in the email that I send to all of you for, thanking you for coming on the webinar with us today. And that email goes out sometime this evening. It's going to also have a link to the recording of today's broadcast. So you definitely want to be on the lookout for that. It's really, really great. You're going to definitely, even if you don't use this one, as Craig said earlier, you'll definitely get some ideas out of it. So it's really, really great, but I do think you should all check it out. You're also going to all receive a 20% discount for any Automax recruiting and or training campaigns. So if you're interested in giving a third-party recruiting or training company a shot, I think there's no better person in the industry than who you have right here in front of you. So 20% discount makes it even sweeter. And for all of you dealer principals and GMs on the webinar today, simply send Craig Lockard an email to clockard@automaxrecruiting.com, and you're going to receive a signed copy of the best-selling book, Unfair Advantage. Totally cool stuff, right? And we want to thank Automax Recruiting for their generosity. And thank you so much, Craig. That was a really, really great presentation. Are we up to the question and answer session?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we are.
All right, here we go. First question comes to us from Allison. She says, who should conduct the daily training? The owner, the GM, sales manager, who? So who do you think, Craig? What do we tell Allison? Who's the person who does this?
Well, again, it depends on the size of the organization and how hands-on the ownership wants to be. But I tell you what, if I worked at a car dealership and if the owner was able to, I would love to have the top person be in charge of the training at the dealership. That personally, that would show me a lot. That would show that person's commitment to the culture of his or her store. That would mean a lot to me personally. And I think most people would feel that way. And again, if you kind of do it the way we're talking about, they would more facilitate the training than actually train. Now, and a lot of dealerships have some top-notch, real better trainers than me, better trainers than some of the trainers we might employ. So, maybe that person, and if that person happens to be the GSM or the GM, I would have that person handle it. Whoever handles it has to be passionate about it. They have to care about people in their employ, and they have to have a passion for helping other people. Because if you don't, it's going to come off badly, and it's going to turn into that Glenn Ross meeting. So hopefully, Allison, that answers your question. I think it could be any of those people, but number one, in my opinion, I think they have to be passionate about training and passionate about people doing better and excelling at their store.
All right, Allison, hope that helps you out. Certainly if you have a follow-up question, let us know. Next question comes to us from Andrew. Andrew, longtime friend of the show. Thank you very much, Andrew, for coming here today again. So Andrew wrote in, and this goes back to when you were talking about training, and you said, facilitate the meeting. And during that, he said, so what happens if they all say nothing happened yesterday?
Well, then I'd make something up. No, that's it. Yeah, Andrew, is it? Yeah.
Yes, Andrew.
That's a really good question, and I'm going to say probably 6 months ago we had something kind of similar to that happen within my own organization, where my GM, in reaching out to the trainer, said, Craig, everything's going well. Like, nobody's got anything. So what do we do? So what we did, so then we would make a problem. How about this problem? Any of you experiencing this? And I absolutely was positive that the majority of our trainers were experiencing this kind of pain. And the minute I brought it up, then it was like, whoa, we relate to that. So Andrew, what I would suggest you do, if in fact that happened, and it could, and it probably will, just throw something out there that they're all experiencing. As an example, the missing party. I mean, if you sold cars for a week, and if taking care of 6 customers, 1 or 2 of them are going to have, not all parties present. So that's always a good one. Or a demonstration drive, or, I'm just looking around, I'm shopping, there's a myriad of objections that we can bring up. And did any of you have any of these problems in the last several days? Yeah, I had this one. Great. Let's talk about that one, and that'll get them started.
Okay, all right. Andrew, I hope that helped you out. I've been thinking if everyone says nothing happened, then that's a pretty good day, but hey, All right.
There's nothing bad out there.
Next question comes to you from Mike. He says, should BDC train separately from new car sales and used car sales?
No, they should train in conjunction with, and additionally for their specific area of responsibility. In my opinion, everyone that touches a customer, either on the phone, via email, or in person, should be involved in the same general meeting on a daily basis, and then break into separate meetings, whether it be internet, BDC, or the sales floor. That way we're all on the quote-unquote same page going in, and then we can drill down to more specific tasks and responsibilities and processes in a real quick 5 to 10 minute meeting after the general meeting.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, very interesting. Mike, hope that helps you out. You know what? We did have a follow-up question from Allison. I hope I can understand what she wrote. She wrote, should we train on how to help other parts of the dealership, like service? So, like throwing, I think we talked about this. Allison might have gotten this from the webinar we did last week, where they were talking about how to get the salespeople to throw more leads to the service department. Is that something you train on, or would you just keep it, on how to sell cars?
I absolutely, without a doubt, Allison, train. When a customer, there's only 5 things basically a customer's buying when they come to a car dealership. They're buying you, the salesperson. They're buying the price, the product, the time frame in which they're going to do those things, and one of the 5 ingredients in the sale is the location. And by the location, I don't mean where it happens to be on a map. I mean the entire store, from stem to stern, fixed operations and variable operations, sales floor, the service department, parts department, body shop. What things about the rest of the facility and the people in that facility would lend itself well to make buying a vehicle or servicing a vehicle more convenient, more pleasurable, more comfortable for the client, whether they're servicing their vehicle there or buying their vehicle there. So I think the synergy between the so-called front end and back end is imperative. We used to talk about it as there's a demarcation line, if you will, like the Berlin Wall between the most service and sales departments, and that's horrible. It's like two different organizations roofed under the same roof, and it's horrible. It shouldn't be. So, yeah, long answer to a short question is without question. It's imperative, and it goes both ways. Service should be training on sales too, and the sales department should be heavily vested with that service writer in the morning in the customer waiting area and the service drive. That car's going to get fixed anyway. So if a customer walks in, he's got $2,500 worth of work to the car, and the car is a 6-year-old car out of warranty. Oh my goodness, I don't, where will I have? No, I'll pass on the $2,500. Well, they're thinking I'm going to pass spending the $2,500 with you, ABC Motors. I'm going to go to Pep Boys or Goodyear or wherever in my corner gas station. I'm going to spend that. I'm going to have them look at the problem, and I can probably get it done for $1,200 or $1,500. They can't, but they think that way. Or they're just not going to get it done and they leave. So now what you've lost is everything. You've lost the $2,500 repair, and you've lost a potential customer on a car deal. So I want to have the sales and service department working in synergy to take that customer with that $2,500 repair or $500 repair or whatever, because $500 is like 10,000 from one person to another. I want them working with the sales staff so they can turn that into a potential sales opportunity, and then also the service department is not going to lose any work because the sales department's going to have to do that work anyway, which leads into a whole other subject, in my opinion, that service should pay, sales should pay retail for the used car lot should pay. Used car department should probably pay retail for service work, but that's a whole can of worms. So, but that way the service department is more motivated, if you would, to turn those opportunities over to the sales department.
Well, Allison already wrote in and said thanks, and Andrew wrote in, your webinars are the only training I get. Thanks for the answer. So I appreciate that, Andrew. Thank you so much.
That's cool.
Well,
that's an unfortunate, that's a good thing for that.
That's a good thing for me.
The good thing for you.
Okay. I do. It looks like all of the questions were about the training section of your presentation, Craig. But I have to say, Craig, what a wonderful surprise. You are a very eloquent speaker, but I guess that is no surprise. You certainly have been doing this long enough. Thank you so much for a really fantastic presentation.
Thank you. It was swell. It was great.
Of course, we're way past the top of the hour, and Craig, you kept us all hanging on to your every word. So I want to, of course, remind the audience that a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later for your reference. Feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. Check out that PDF attachment for the Automax Copyrighted Salesperson interview. And today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. Just go to dealeron.com/webinars. And over there you can view our upcoming webinar schedule and access any of our past webinars too. And this webinar is going to shut down in just another minute. You're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. We're going to randomly select a couple of people to also win some Google swag just for their participation in our survey. Dealeron is going to be at the upcoming NADA convention in Orlando, so if you're going to be there, well, we want to see you. Come visit us at booth 3259 and check out our speaking session from Jeff Clark, our EVP of Biz Dev here at Dealeron. He's going to be talking about digital strategies to double your fixed ops profits. As you can see, he's going to be all over that NADA schedule, so make sure you go check him out. Really, really great presentation. And really important if you do want to get some more income from your fixed ops, and who doesn't? Who doesn't really? And what's our next slide? Oh yeah, Automax is also going to be at NADA. What do you know about that? Booth 4488, not too far from me, Craig. You got to walk over and say hi to me at the Dealeron.
Okay.
If you get a chance. Okay, good. So booth 4488, go check them out. And who knows? You might need some recruiting or training services. Automax is definitely the people to go check out. I want to remind the audience that invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next webinar. And this one's going to be about how small data can equal big buckaroos. And we're going to have Kristen Judd. She's the president and one of the co-founders of Three Birds Marketing. And so the question really is, are you looking for opportunities to increase your dealership's revenue in meaningful ways right within your database? Of course you are. Why? Because all the cool kids are doing it. And Kristen Judd is going to show us all how to get it done. Webinar participants will come away with the understanding that there are many ways to increase revenue besides conquest campaigns, and many simply require small adjustments, but they pay huge dividends. So if you're always on the hunt for revenue increasing opportunities that exist right in your dealership's data, or simply want your dealership to be even more profitable, well, then you can't afford to miss this amazing webinar. This will be another fabulous presentation by your friends at DealerOn. And don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And we have some awesome webinar subjects planned for this year. But if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars or our topics, feel free to contact me directly. My name is Eliana. I love hearing from you. Track me down online. Email me at eliana@dealeron.com. Find me on any one of the social networks. And thank you so much for spending this time with us today. And I hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Have yourselves a good one. Take care.